て始めようかね。突撃!
What's happening, everyone? I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com, and today I'm here to provide you with my review for Samurai Warriors 4 for the PlayStation 4. Now, in regards to the story isn't focused on one particular faction or character. Instead, it's divided into many. At the start of the game, depending on the factions that are already unlocked, you get to choose one and you go through the story for that. And as you complete each faction's story, you actually unlock more additional story modes to play in. And depending on what faction you choose will determine the characters you get to start off with the game. So instead of being one, it's divided into many in terms of the story. Starting off with the graphics, visually the game looks really good on the PlayStation 4 in terms of the art style, character models, and level design. The last time I've seen and played Samurai Warriors was back on PlayStation 2 days, which was Samurai Warriors 2, so from seeing the difference from Samurai Warriors 2 to Samurai Warriors 4, I do notice a really big difference, and I'm pleased with the visual department of the game. As for the gameplay is pretty much similar to the same as the previous Samurai Warriors game, just how Dynasty Warriors partakes into their franchise. But of course, just like any franchise of a particular game, they usually like to add something new or something different. In this case, one of the new mechanics that I've seen here, especially comparing it to the previous one I played, is that they have like this kind of a spiritual orb where you're able to use towards dodging attacks or aiding through your ability, and when you have enough of these orbs collected, in this case built up, you're able to go into a rage mode, in which in this case your character is granted a bunch of a bonus additional damage, and of course you're able to unleash devastating attacks. Now what's nice about going into the rage mode, just like using the Mushu gauge when you're not, if you use Mushu while you're in rage mode, you're actually pretty much using a second version of your special attack, in which in this case, while in range mode, it's going to be much more devastating compared to its previous form. And of course the gameplay mechanics for everything else is pretty much the same in terms of how you attack, your special abilities, blocking, and etc., and of course using special items. Now also what's cool about this game, besides the 2-player option that the game has been having ever since back in PlayStation 2 days, is the fact that you're able to connect online, in this case connect with other fans of this franchise, and to play the story mode together, which is a really nice option, because for someone like me who doesn't have anyone that's able to pick up a second controller and hang out, I can connect with other people over the network and play with them during the story, especially when you're playing on a higher difficulty level. But other than that, the gameplay was really smooth, and I was actually pretty impressed because the amount of NPCs on screen was really crazy. And another nice aspect about the game is that at the start of the battle you always pick between two characters. That's if you're playing by yourself. In this case, if you have your primary and you have your secondary. What's nice about this is that the NPC does a really good job going to particular objectives on the battlefield, and you could easily switch between the characters on the fly by pressing the options button. So let's say I'm controlling one particular character and my NPC partner, which is the second character I chose, is all the way across the map. Now I could choose to run all the way over there, and just in case if he's having difficulties, or I could simply press the options button and boom, I'm instantly right there controlling what the NPC was, and now the NPC is controlling what my main character was. So it's a nice way to kind of go through back and forth the battlefield without the hassle of running actually to and from, which is a really nice mechanic that I do appreciate in a game like this. And of course, when you do have your special attacks, in this case the Mushu gauge filled up for both characters, you're able to come together with this electric field and basically unleash a ultimate one, which you see a little kind of a cinematic between the two characters and both unleash your special attack. However, I was kind of slightly disappointed in this little gimmick, because all it does is that you just have, first off, it's going to look like it's going to be some big ultimate attack between the two characters working together, but instead it's just the characters using their ultimate just like they were standardly. What would have been cool to see is kind of like something like in the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm series, their latest game, where they have the whole teamwork combination where you could see that their attacks are coming together to forming a massive one. But here it's just the characters use their special, and that's pretty much it. It would have been kind of cool to see, the characters' relations actually putting their special attacks together and then creating something kind of unique. But it didn't have it here, so I'm not going to hold too much grudge against it. I just wish, there's a little bit more to it. But other than that, the gameplay is pretty much solid, so any Samurai Warriors fan could enjoy and appreciate. Now, as we get into the sound design of the game, the soundtrack, as always, is really enjoyable to listen to, which you can buy separate or get within the game's collector's edition. And of course, as for the voice work, it does feature the original Japanese voice actors. In this case, I think it's only the Japanese option anyways, with English translation and subtitles. But the voice work altogether was really enjoyable, especially some of the characters when you're going into their range mode or special attack. Just seeing that little cinematic and hearing their voice just like gives me goosebumps because of how well it sounded. But yeah, the soundtrack and the voice work within the game are great, which fans will get to enjoy. Now, as we get to the lifespan of the game, what's going to make players want to come back and play more? Well, in this case, you have a various amounts of campaigns to play through, and the fact that you can choose to play with a friend or online to go through such campaign is going to be really enjoyable for the fans. And of course, you could always go back and enjoy the it's more of a slight customization options where you can get the extra weapons you have and the crystals and kind of combine it to make an ultimate weapon you can use. But overall, depending on what you like to do within Samurai Warriors, if you're the type of person who likes to level up each character to their max, or just pretty much going on and repeating the campaign levels over and over again, or with a buddy. So depending on what you want to do will determine the lifespan. Overall, I see a decent lifespan, especially for fans of the franchise. Now, as we get into the innovation, comparing it to the last Samurai Warriors that I've played, one of the new additions that they have is the weapons forging, along with the rage mode that your character is able to go into, and using pretty much a second version of the Mushu attack. But overall, the gameplay mechanics are similar or to the same as the previous versions of their titles. But overall, the game was really enjoyable. But in the end, I'm going to give Samurai Warriors 4 a 9 out of 10. If you guys would like to check out some gameplay, you guys can check the link down below. Anyways, I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion, and always remember guys, Gamerfuzion empowers your gaming.